It's going to be one of the challenges you'll find when you're applying for jobs if you don't have international experience. Know how to sell yourself with those skills. So because usually you find the same kind of people in the same circles within the sector. Hi guys, this is V Memoirs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And for today, I'm going to talk about how to get into the international development sector. I would love you to subscribe and follow this channel for more videos on tips and tricks on how to get into the sector, how to build a diasporic life, and just travel tips in general. Please also click on the alert button to keep up with any new videos that come up. Okay, so how do you get into the international development sector? So before I go into that, I want to first define what it is the international development sector. There is a proper definition, and I do have a whole course that I'm kind of developing looking into this exactly if you're more interested. And I will be posting out more and more. You should keep subscribing. Right now, just like a rumble jumble definition, I would say the international development sector is a sector that looks into supporting the poor. So this is not particular in any particular country or region, but like low income countries, less developed countries. And you would work as anything really. You can work as an engineer, you can work as an economist, you can work as a doctor, you can work as a nurse, you can work as an accountant, you can work as a program manager. You work on a particular program or particular project or particular aim and agenda in an organization. For example, the likes of the World Bank, encouraging increasing the lifestyle and the level of people living in those countries. So that's the best I can do. It is a very much of a vast description for international development. There's a lot more elements included into it. And anyways, for those who actually can define it better than me, please feel free to comment below and describe it better than I did. For my case, I work as an economist in an NGO in Africa. The NGO itself is actually a foundation. We'll have a whole video describing what are the differences between an NGO, a multilateral, and then a foundation, for example, coming up. So please hold on to that. Or you can also Google it. But I work for an NGO, of which is looking at productivity in sectors, geographical footprint in Kenya, Tanzania, start in Uganda, and we also have a HQ office in London. But I have worked in other organizations as well, were more US-based, and different sort of types of organizations. Okay, so before I get into it, I'll just sort of talk about the 5 things you need on how to get into the sector. The first thing you need to do before you think about entering the sector is first of all recognize that you have a passion for international development. You have a passion for making an impact and changing the lives of those that need it most. Also realize that you're humble enough to know that you alone won't do that. And it's going to take a very, very long time. And it's a long-term passion, vision, mission. But that's the first thing. And once you have that, most applications you'll write into most of the jobs and maybe even PhD and master's programs will need for you to explicitly say you're passionate and why you're passionate and how it relates to your life and how do you feel personal about it. And that's the first thing. The second thing that you require if you want to enter the international development sector is a postgraduate qualification. Now, this is not for all jobs, but I think like 80% of the jobs in the sector will probably talk about whether you have a postgraduate qualification, or a master's degree, and some even PhD level. If you're looking to apply for the likes of like IMF, World Bank, and AFDB, the African Development Bank, you might as well kind of go and get a PhD. Again, depending on some positions. I've known some people who've gone into it while being a consultant, like a short-term consultant, and then they get a full-time job there. So it's not entirely 100% true. But if you really are like serious, I guess you could just go ahead and do a PhD anyways. Of course, you have to be interested in research in the first place. Other jobs will require you to have a postgraduate degree. But if not a postgraduate degree, if you do want to get into like program management and project management, then it's good to get a PMP. There's a lot of opportunities for project managers and program managers in development, and something that you should look into if you're interested. The third thing that I would say you need to do before you get into international development, or at least while you're getting into international development, is getting experience in the field. So what does this mean? It means you should probably try and see if you can work maybe at a lower rate of salary somewhere that's in the field, meaning actually working in development itself. And whether it's like 3 months or 1 month or 1 year, whatever you can really afford, I recommend you getting that before really applying for jobs. It's going to be one of the challenges you'll find when you're applying for jobs if you don't have international experience, just because they kind of require people to know what it's like living in these countries. And of course, it kind of makes sense. So imagine if you were somebody who was going to go and advise the government in Mauritius, for example. You were trying to advise maybe on tax policy, or you're trying to advise on health. Yet you've never arrived in the country before. So you don't know the kind of explicit challenges the country faces, the kind of mortality rate they face, what is their biggest issue there. So how are you then to be there to advise the government if you've never been exposed to the challenges or even the cultural norms in the country? This is why it's very important for you to try and get some exposure, whether it means you're already from that country and you want to just go back and spend some time there, or you want to actually set up and get volunteering experiences in there as well. The fourth thing I would advise you to do before you get into international development is actually to really gain skills and network. This is some examples of what kind of roles you might find in this sector, but some of those might be adaptable, transferable. Let's say you're already working as a nurse in your country, you're moving into a development country, you can probably just, do public health as a master's and then start really honing in the skills that are required. Know how to sell yourself with those skills. So, for example, if it's like customer service or project management, or if it's like data, management and collecting data, you want to really hone in the skills and really stand out in those skills and really know how to highlight them on your CV and your cover letter. So really key things, because those are the ones that stand out when you apply for these jobs. Networking is a big thing. Just when you think networking is obviously a big thing for other sectors, the international development sector is even worse, because usually you find the same kind of people in the same circles within the sector. And if you know somebody who knows you already about how you work and how you do things, performance you can bring into a job, then it makes it so much easier for you just to kind of oh yeah, I know that person, and yeah, you can apply, but I already kind of vet out for you. Of course, the system is that you have to apply for jobs standardized when they get advertised competitively. However, someone knowing you in that position where they are looking for someone just plays big things. Just definitely network, get to know people, go for coffees, go for drinks. When you're in there, you never know when the next job comes up. A lot of consultancies come from that kind of deal. And then the last thing I would say you would need if you want to work in international development, and this is very particular on my case and particular for the next coming years, learning the skills of being data-driven. So a few Excel skills that you might be able to use. If you're really good at it, start learning maybe SPSS or R or eViews or Tableau, data adaptable. Because the way we're going with things right now, everything is about big data. Everything is about how do we use all of this data we've collected, all of this survey data we collect to try and make informed decisions about a policy or program in that country. So if you are particularly analytical inclined, I would advise you to really hone in those skills. That's where the direction is going in the next 5 or 10 years. And that's my personal advice. I don't think it's a key advice for development, but I think it's something that I would advise people if you want to enter in the sector. All right, thank you for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask on the comments, or also just email me. My email is linked on my profile on YouTube. I am putting together a course with a couple of my friends who work in the sector, just to help you out with these sort of questions that you have and the different tips and tricks. I also do provide some sample cover letter and CVs on my website, so please do check them out. The link is below. Otherwise, have a great day and see you soon.